Guys, the NBA season is officially over, and it's this time of year, at least when it's been the case the last 4 seasons for me anyway, where I get a little depressed knowing that my team failed to make the playoffs and I have to wait a good 5 months or so until the next season starts. And this season was a hard one if you're a Bulls fan, because there were obviously higher expectations than we've had in past years, with the start of a new front office, a new coaching staff, a trade deadline that brought in another all-star, but it was also a very unique season in the sense that the league was playing in the middle of a pandemic without fans for a good portion of the year. Players were in and out of the lineup throughout the season, a shortened season that had a compact schedule which left little time for practice and rest. And of course, we knew this was an evaluation year for the Bulls. But with all of that being said, how do you rate the Bulls' performance this year relative to our expectations? And that's what I want to talk about in this video. So what's going on, everyone? You are listening to Bull Central here. Hope you're all doing well. Guys, as you may know, if you caught my video yesterday, I did a score prediction giveaway, and we didn't have anyone predict the score correctly. However, as I mentioned, to ensure that we had a winner, I would award the winner of the $100 gift card to the NBAstore.com based on the point differential of the game and the commenter in the order from first to last. So since the Bulls won by 6 points, our 6th commenter was "Cameras were on," and funny enough, take a peek at his comment. He basically jinxed himself into winning this one with the 6th comment on the video. So congrats to you, my man. It was nice chatting with you earlier, and hope you buy yourself something nice. Also, don't forget, I am hosting a season-ending giveaway as a thank you to all my subscribers who have been on this ride throughout the season. I will be giving away this signed Joakim Noah magazine from 2012. All you have to do is subscribe to the channel and you'll automatically be included into my drawing. I will be doing a drawing for it on Wednesday morning and sharing the winner in my Wednesday Hot Takes video. So if you want to be included there, make sure you're subscribed to the channel by then. And with that, let's talk about the Bulls season and my grade for them as a team as a whole. I will do a separate video on each player grade. I was initially going to try and combine it all into one video, but I have a lot on my mind of what I wanted to say about this Bulls team as a whole this season, and didn't want to rush through the player grades as a result. So a quick summary of the Bulls season. They finished with a record of 31-41, 11th in the East, 21st in the league in points per game, and 24th in the league in points allowed. And you know, they actually finished 6th in the league in assists per game. Sorry, not 6th, 8th in the league in assists per game, which is somewhat surprising given we always talk about how the Bulls need a playmaking point guard. But this is also because Billy Donovan's system is heavy on ball and player movement, so naturally you're going to see more assists. And those numbers are going to go up rather than what we saw last year compared to the heavy isolation plays under Jim Boylen. The Bulls ended up not finishing worst in the league in turnovers, but 27th overall, so not really good either. And then they close out the season 9th in field goal percentage and 14th in three-point percentage. Now, a few key highlights or changes to this season from the last. Well, one, the Bulls got a new front office, bringing in Arturas Karnisovas and Mark Eversley. They brought in a new coach in Billy Donovan, and really a whole new coaching staff for that matter. They let players like Chris Dunn and Shaq Harrison go and brought in Garrett Temple. They drafted Patrick Williams with the number 4 overall pick. And midway through the season, at the trade deadline, they traded for Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter, Chandler Hutchinson, and Daniel Gafford, and Luke Cornett actually, in exchange for 2 first-round picks to bring in Nikola Vucevic, Daniel Tice, Troy Brown Jr., and Al-Farouq Aminu. Now, most of you probably knew all of that already, but wanted to quickly summarize in the event that you didn't. Now, this season was an up-and-down roller coaster, to say the least. The Bulls started off very poorly, getting blown out in their first 2 games, a buzzer-beating shot in the 3rd game, which upon further review should have been waived due to incorrect impounds call and an illegal screen on the play, but that's neither here nor there at this point. The Bulls then started to look like they were finding their footing in games, stringing together some wins, but then Satoransky, Hutchinson, and Markkanen all had to miss time due to the NBA's health and safety protocol. The Bulls went on a long West Coast trip, playing some of the best teams in the NBA, and despite losing some of those games, the Bulls actually played very well in keeping them close and competitive. But then the Bulls suffered some injuries, namely due to Wendell Carter Jr. and Lauri Markkanen. The Bulls kind of went back to their old ways, blowing some big leads, playing individual basketball rather than team ball. Coby White and Wendell eventually got benched, which initially looked like it was going to start working out, but then quickly declined. The front office made some big trades and seemed to have made promise in getting Bulls to the playoffs, given they were already in the top 10 in the East at the time of the trades. But of course, things didn't gel right away, given all the traveling on another West Coast trip. Lavine got injured and then was out due to the health and safety protocol. Vucevic missed a couple games, and although the Bulls played well, once they returned, it was all but too late to make any kind of run into the playoffs. So a very, very high overview of the Bulls season. Obviously, there were more things that went on throughout the year, but I've said it before, and I will, I think most of us can agree this was a very disappointing season for the Bulls. I know it was an evaluation year. I know making a big trade midway through the season in, a compacted schedule obviously isn't ideal. I know players were playing in a pandemic, but at the end of the day, the Bulls, with the roster that they have, the talent on this team, a new coach, a new front office, not being able to make the playoffs when the playoffs have now been extended to 10 teams in the Eastern Conference, a historically weaker conference, is just unacceptable. There's no other way to look at it. I mean, when you have teams like the Knicks finishing 4th and the Hawks finishing 5th, and the Bulls cannot even squeak into the top 10, the Hornets, Pacers, Wizards all finished above them. That's inexcusable. And guys, I'm not saying that the Bulls should have been contenders this year and even make a deep playoff run. No, I honestly expected the Bulls to finish 8th in the East and make it to the playoffs with the talent that they had, because we all knew this team that they weren't going to be contenders. And even after the trade bringing in Vucevic, they still weren't. They weren't going to be contenders even after those trades. And if you go back and watch my video on my season predictions right before the season started, around the time that I started this channel, I predicted the Bulls would finish 8th in the East and likely get swept in the first round, or maybe make it a 5-game series. I honestly don't think that that was really too much to ask for, given what the Bulls were working with. But be that as it may, the Bulls did not make the playoffs. You can blame it on coaching, you can blame it on Lavine or Vucevic, the front office, the overall trades being made, blown leads earlier in the season. You can blame it on whatever, but at the end of the day, the team as a whole was not able to be successful in making the playoffs. Now, with all that in mind, how do we grade the Bulls season with all of these factors? The circumstances of playing in a pandemic, mid-season trades, and the expectations of them going into the season. Well, we asked this question in the Discord that you could go and vote on, where you can also vote on each of the player ratings as well, which, by the way, if you're interested in joining the Discord, a link to it is in the description. It is free to join, but the results from votes and the Discord were as follows, and you can ignore the 1A because Discord is kind of annoying in that you have to at least have one vote for each option in order to include it. So you can actually subtract one vote from each of these letter grades, but you had 7 Bs, 38 Cs, 13 Ds, and 1 F. And these grades aren't all that surprising to me anyway, although I will say I was a bit surprised to see that many people give the Bulls a B for the season. I personally felt that this season was a C, probably even leaning more towards a C- range. And really the reasoning for that is because it was an average to below average season for the Bulls. Yes, they were better than last season, but not that much better. The team was more exciting to watch, probably the most exciting that they have been to watch since the Jimmy Butler trade, but that also isn't saying much. I do still have faith in the future of this team, and I think they are heading in the right direction, but as far as this season goes, it was a disappointment. I mean, I really can't give the team higher than a C when they finished 10 games below 500. They missed the playoffs in an expanded postseason. They struggled on defense throughout the year. They were one of the worst teams in turning the ball over, and above all, for most of the season, there was just no heart in this team. There was very little energy, fight, and hustle, and they were very inconsistent throughout the year. I think the only time we saw any semblance of consistency was in those final games when Lavine got back from the health and safety protocol and Vooch also came back from his injury on that same day. Until of course the Bulls, in their last 2 games when they were no longer meaningful games considering the Bulls were eliminated from playoff contention. And I know it's easy to say, well, how do you expect consistency in a season that was very unique considering all of the circumstances the league had to deal with in a global health crisis? Well, sure, but the fact of the matter is every team was dealing with the same circumstances as the Bulls did. And when you look at the standings and see teams like the Hornets, the Knicks, the Hawks, all doing significantly better than the Bulls did, when really you could argue they have overall less talent than the Bulls do, then there is something else going on, something else that needs to be addressed outside of the lack of defense, the lack of taking care of the ball, the inconsistent shooting, the fit on the roster. What it boils down to is the heart of this team, the identity of this team. If they're not going to come out ready to play and play hard and give it 100% for the full 48 minutes, you're not going to win games no matter how talented you are. That's just a fact. So I think we talk about this offseason and how the Bulls need to upgrade at the point guard position, how they need to bring in strong defensive players. And yes, all of that is true, but more importantly, they need to bring in guys who are going to be energizers, dogs on the court, guys who are going to fight and hustle in every possession on both ends of the floor. And I'll talk about, the offseason more in future videos and what ideally I would like to see as far as the Bulls bringing in order to transform this team to get them really back to that team that we used to see in the early 2010s. Until then, though, I want to hear what you guys think or what your thoughts of the season was for the Bulls. If you weren't able to vote on the Discord, I'll leave a poll on the community tab so you can leave your rating for the Bulls season overall, so be on the lookout for that. But let me know in the comments how you would grade the Bulls season as a whole. I'll also have a video out this week on all of the individual player grades as well. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, especially if you want to be included in the Joakim Noah Sign Magazine giveaway. I will do a drawing for that on Wednesday morning, so feel free to subscribe and feel free to join the Discord so you can join the Bulls fandom community. You can also follow me on Instagram. Thanks again for tuning in, guys, and I will catch you in the next one.